To begin making the medieval collar armor, or a gorget, you'll need to download and print the pattern. You're going to need craft foam. I recommend 5mm craft foam. You'll also need a craft knife or X-Acto knife, some glue. I use a cheap cement glue from a dollar store. You also need some Sharpies. Now we're going to start cutting out the paper patterns. Now I can hear you asking me, what exactly is a gorget? Well, a gorget is the name for a piece of medieval armor worn around the collar and the neck, as seen in my Mordred or Magic cosplays here. You may also recognize it from that one snowy character from that fantasy TV show about thrones. He wears one quite a bit. Alright, once the paper pieces have been all cut out, go back and cut out the marks and slots on pieces A and B here. Once everything is cut out, trace out everything onto the foam, including the cutting guides, piece names, and the slots and marks that we just cut out in pieces A and B. Now, quick interruption, you do not need to use foam necessarily for piece D. You could use elastic strap or even leather straps for a more realistic look, like you can see here. If you can, I highly recommend combining each side of A, B, and C onto a single piece of foam like so. If you can't, just glue the two pieces together before moving on, but for the sake of the video, I will use a single piece of foam for pieces A, B, and C. Now we can cut everything out of the foam. Edges with line markers indicate that you need to cut away from the shape at about 45 degrees. This creates an extended face. Edges with dotted guides indicate that you need to cut into the shape at about 45 degrees. This creates an inverted face. Another marking you're going to see is this transitional mark, where you have an outward or inward cut right next to a straight line cut. This is signaling when one fluid motion go from an outward cut to a straight cut in one motion. The result is this outward cut to the straight in one smooth face. Alrighty, we're going to start building. We're going to go to apply glue to this gap here on both pieces A and B. Once the glue is cured, push the two edges together. The foam will curve one way or another, so don't fight it. Just make sure that after a few minutes, the curve is away from all of the marks that we made onto the foam. Now, you can do this next part by hand or with a heat gun, but you're going to want to start to curve pieces A and B inward or away from all of the marks that we made on one side of it, so that it curves around, the upper torso and your back. Alrighty, next we're going to apply glue on the extended cut face of piece C, and also apply glue to the inside of piece B between these marks here and here, like so. Once the glue is cured, Line up the center lines of piece C and B, like so, and begin attaching piece C to piece D along piece C's extended cut face. I recommend gluing down one side and then moving on to the other. The next step requires some decision making on your part. You can either glue pieces A and B together into one solid piece, so long as the slots line up, or you can keep them separate and use piece D to connect them like I did for my Mordred cosplay. I'll show you how to keep them separate in this video. Take piece D and loop it through the slots so that it sits on top of piece A like so. Make sure piece D is through all the slots at equal lengths. Then, on the underside of piece A and B, mark where piece D sits. Also mark out on piece D where it exits the slots here and here. Okay, now you're going to remove piece D and apply glue to all four of these marked spots on pieces A, B, and D. Once the glue is cured, loop piece D through the slots again, making sure that the side that has the glue is facing the marked out zones that also have glue. Once everything's lined up, press piece D into pieces A and B. Alright, now all you have to do is repeat these steps for the other D piece on the other side of the collar arm. And with that, you're done. Next, you can go on to decorate the piece to match your medieval costume style. I also recommend that if you needed to, you could use these decorations to hide any seams in pieces A and B if you needed to cut them out separately. Here you can also see that I used some googly eyes for rivets, and I actually used real leather straps and twine to get a more realistic look for my straps on my gorget. Alternatively, if you're interested in learning how to make foam look like weathered leather, take a look at the video that's popping up at the top right of the screen to see my technique on how to make foam look like weathered leather. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more cosplay content.